This is the Roanoke Station at the north end of the Staunton River Battlefield State Park. This area was pivotal in the Civil War, and lots of fighting going back and forth, especially for the bridge that I don't know if we're going to make it to today. Randolph, Virginia, zip code 23962. I am going to give you the quick tour of Randolph, Virginia. I sure hope you didn't blink, because you would have missed it. So this is the old rail bed for the old railroad back in 1864. So in late June of 1864, Union soldiers were sent to tear up the track and to destroy the bridge that we're headed to. You'll see that later. To stop resupply of the Confederate forces from the south. According to reports, it was oppressively hot on that June day. Can you imagine with those heavy uniforms those guys wore and it being 80 or 90 degrees? Man, that had to suck. So word got to the Confederate generals of a large force coming from the north with specific orders to destroy the bridge and tear up the tracks. Word went out to the surrounding countryside, and within a few days, he had 600 and some volunteers show up to help out. Many were older men, too old to serve in the regular army, or young boys too young to serve in the regular army. 200 of those men were on injury furlough in the area. They came to fight, and they repelled the Union Army and kept the bridge. I don't know for how long after that, but they did keep it. Beautiful view of what was once a battlefield. Now it's farmland. In the days and nights preceding up to the battle, the Confederate commander had empty trains with boxcars coming up to the bridge, appear to be dropping off supplies and men, and then leave. And these came up at random times and happened the day and the nights before the battle. The Union Army was convinced that there was thousands of Confederate soldiers on the other side of the river. So that was a pretty good trick they pulled there, when there was indeed only 600 to 800. I'll tell you one thing, if you want to see the battlefields better and such, I mean, there are trails that go through the battlefield, but this is a great vantage point. As you can see how high up we are. If you come in here in the fall or the winter or the spring before all the foliage is grown, you can see a whole lot more. Right now, in early June, all these trees are providing very welcome shade. Well, there's some Robinson Crusoe vines looking at you. Or what is it, Swiss Family Robinson. I almost expect to pan up and see a big giant tree house. But there's none. The great thing about this trail is it is very flat, as you can see. Easy to walk on, easy to ride bikes on, easy for kids, easy to push a stroller on or pull a wagon. Just a nice trail to walk. And this trail is very wheelchair accessible, as you can tell. If you look closely in the distance, you can just start seeing the current bridge. That was not the bridge that was there in 1864. Because after the war, this was still a viable track and run by a viable railroad. I believe this was probably shut down in the 1950s. I will add notes and give the specifics. This was not a planned trip. We did not plan, when we left the house, we did not plan on coming here today. We happened to be in the area, had lunch at the Tobacco Hill Grill in Wiley'sburg. Highly recommend it. And we said, hey, let's go to Staunton River Battlefield. That's why I'm wigging it here. So the Confederate forces held the bridge after 4 separate attacks on the bridge. At one point, the Union Army almost got to the bridge and were getting close enough to torch it when the Confederate cannon, I should say the Confederate artillery, opened up and wiped them out. After that, the Union troops were forced, or not forced, I should say, ordered to retreat. And I think that finished things off. I don't know which attack that was. I probably add notes on that too. Right now we're about the point where the Confederates were dug in. That summer, these fields were planted with wheat, and the Confederates used them for cover. As the Union forces moved on them, they'd pop up out of the wheat field and just release an awesome amount of fire, scattering the Union troops. Some of them tried to make it up the rail embankment. As you can see, it's fairly steep here, but they just cut them down as they're trying to climb the trenches. None of these trees were here in 1864, so they're in the wide open. Well, we made it to the Staunton River Bridge. I think back in the day this was called the Roanoke River. I'm not really sure on that, when that name changed. But this bridge was built in 1902, so this is not the bridge that stood here in 1864. I don't even know if that bridge ended up surviving the war. My stalker slash muse slash assistant, also known as my wife, just informed me that the original bridge was a covered bridge. And I'll have a picture of it in the final video. So there's the plaque of the bridge, and if you look closely on the top, you'll see a lizard. I'm pretty sure he wasn't here either in 1864. Continuing the comfortable trail to walk on, this bridge provides very little shade. So bring some sunscreen if you're coming out in the summer or on a bright sunny day like today. We didn't. We're stupid. Not to start an argument or anything, but this is the Staunton River. I'm going to pronounce it the way it's spelled. Many people will correct me and say it's Stanton, which the town is called Staunton, but it's spelled Staunton. There's a lot of things here that are that way. Just a nice, peaceful river. Come by in the winter, it's not so peaceful. I'm mostly certain that the park is open 365 days a year. The visitor center probably closed Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, all the big holidays. It's a nice walk, I highly recommend it. Well, reading this, I come to find out that the bridge did not survive the war. Retreating Confederate forces were ordered by a General E. What was his name? Robert E. Lee, to burn the bridge. And they did, to take it out of the Union's hands. We crossed the river, and now we've gone through the woods, not to grandmother's house, but to the Confederate fort. You know, growing up as a kid, I always thought forts of this era all looked like the cowboy movie forts. You know, a bunch of trees with pointed ends. I don't think I've seen any of those as an adult. kind of a bummer. So the concept was you dig a big hole and you pile it up on the inside. So if guys want to come in your fort, they got to go down in the big hole where your guys are probably going to shoot them when they're down in the big hole. And then they got to climb up the big hill where your guys are probably going to shoot them as they're trying to climb up the steep hill. I believe that these were steeper back in 1864. Erosion and such have made them a little less steep. So we're going to go ahead and enter the fort here and have a quick look around. Like I said, our time is limited. There's thunderstorms in the area, and we got a 20-minute or so walk back to get to the car, and I just don't want to get soaked. So as you can see, pretty basic accommodation. A mound around you to hide behind, and a cool place to put your cannon to shoot the other guys. No idea if this is an original or replica cannon. I'm pretty sure the transport is replica because it looks too new. And there's the business end. And for reference, the bore is about 4 fingers. There were emplacements for at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more guns. Now this big hole in the middle here is where you kept the gunpowder. Stored in a cool, dry place. In 1864, that was a cool, dry place. Of course, it had a roof on it and such. As you can see, nature has kind of taken back the, I guess for lack of a better term, the moats. I don't know if the parks plan on cutting this back or what, but I've seen them trimmed back in the past. This is the outer ring. I'm not sure, but it seems inverted from what it should be. Seems like it was dug from the inside out. And maybe it's just for the troops and so they could duck down and hide. So here's the story of what went on from a more official standpoint. There was 296 Confederate troops, reinforced by 642 citizens and soldiers from Halifax, Charlotte, and Mecklenburg County. They defeated Colonel M. West and the 5th Pennsylvania Cavalry, supported by the 3rd New York. I'm going to tell you, the 5th Pennsylvania Cavalry and the 3rd New York was a lot more than 800-900 guys.